Welcome to the HR Empowerment Podcast, where we will uncover strategies and new insights from HR professionals who discuss up-to-date regulations, best practices, and the most pressing topics like diversity and equity, leadership, dealing with difficult situations, and much more that affect your bottom line and business. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is Wendy Sellers, the HR lady with JC.
It is such a pleasure to be back on this program compared to some of the other HR podcasts out there. I really enjoy being on this one with you. Let me tell you. Wendy Sellers, how are you?
Thank you so much. We try to be honest here and helpful and move things right along. What we want to talk about right now in this session 4 of 5 is continuing about employment concerns for 2023. But I want to talk about recruiting advice for candidates, even if you're an internal candidate or if you're looking for a job somewhere else. Sorry, HR people, I'm going to steal some of your folks. No, I'm just kidding.
So what do we got to think about here, Wendy?
I want to talk about, like, how do you find better jobs? So how do you find better jobs? Number one, make sure your resume is updated with all of your skills, all of your knowledge, and all of your abilities in industry terms. So for some of you that might be looking for a job, you may have worked in maybe 2 or 3 different industries in your life. I'm sorry, you may have to have 2 or 3 different copies of resumes then, because you want to make sure you're using the terminology for that industry that when you apply to a job, so that hiring manager looks at it and goes, oh, yes, this person knows exactly what we do here, and I want to interview them.
What about the people that really don't? Well, geez, sometimes you land into a position, you settle in, you got hired to do HR, but now you've only been doing payroll and front desk work, and you really aren't doing the recruiting work that you were brought on board for. So you really kind of don't want to update that resume just yet. What should you do in those types of scenarios? Just keep a bullet point list of things that you're doing, so you don't forget.
Like a 7-page resume. Yeah, that'd be fine. We recruiters love that. No, don't do that. No, but what you can do, if you were hired and you were supposed to go in one role, but you ended up really getting catfished, or for whatever reason, you never really achieved the role that you were supposed to be in. This is where you can start doing things on the side and get that experience on your own, meaning get a certification, take courses related to that topic, put that on your resume that you are trained, that you have the skills to do it. Even Indeed.com has a lot of skills assessments that candidates could go through and finish the skills assessments even before employers ask. So go on Indeed, if Indeed is a source that you are using to put your resume on, which it should be. It's a very, very popular source, and do all this assessments there, and then it'll show up on your Indeed resume, and or you could then just put it on your other resume that is not, generated by Indeed. But making sure that you're doing the training and development. You could also be doing a little bit of side work too, as a 1099 or maybe a part-time job. Say, okay, this is what I've done here. One other thing that I wanted to address, JC, is a lot of times employers create these weird titles. That's the best way I could say it, is they'll say, oh, at this company, we are, whatever, director of people, when it's really HR, right?
Yeah.
So you need to then, if you are going to use your current formal official title, you could put underneath that, this is what it's equivalent to. So those keywords are still in there. So me as a recruiter, I'm looking for keyword searches. So you want to make sure your resume has the keywords spread all throughout your resume so that I, the recruiter who's searching online, can find you.
So put it into Chat GPT and tell it optimize for keywords for this, right?
Why the heck not? If you can get on Chat GPT, go for it. Because I tried getting on there again earlier this week, and I could not because it's slammed. But you know what? Before you go on, I want to say something. I read this on LinkedIn today. Somebody posted something, and I was like, man, this is spot on about Chat GPT. And it was, candidates using the AI tool to create a cover letter or even a resume. It's the same thing. And I know people are getting upset about it. And I'm like, who cares? It's a marketing tool. Of course, you need to go back and fix it and make sure it's accurate. But it's the same thing of saying, what did this lady say? She said, well, remember when we all had to hand wash our dishes and then we got dishwashers? Nobody stopped us from using that. It's just a tool.
I'm sorry. I really want to hire you into our accounting team, but we rely on the abacus here. I apologize. No calculators or computers. Hey, you mentioned LinkedIn. You've said LinkedIn a couple times. With LinkedIn, is it really worthwhile anymore on keeping LinkedIn up to date?
Yes. One more time. Yes.
Why?
100%. Recruiters are on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has changed a lot since the beginning of the pandemic. I'm on LinkedIn at least 7 times a day. I'm sometimes a recruiter. So it's very important to keep your LinkedIn profile updated. You could also add your cleaned up and finished resume as an attachment on LinkedIn. And so I think you have to attach it to maybe your last job, and then you could add it as a Word or PDF attachment. So now when I go to look at your LinkedIn profile, I'm like, oh, look, I could download their resume right now. Let me check it out. Oh, I like that. I'm going to contact them, even though they didn't apply for my job. Now I have all the tools. Right.
Now it makes sense. Hey, a recent study, Wendy, published by Nature Human Behavior, found that resumes with years of experience at a company rather than specific days of employment are more likely to get job calls back. The chances of getting a call back increase by 15% when there's a gap in the resume and 8% when there's no gap in the resume. The research looked at resumes that had no gaps, gaps that were not explained, and gaps that were explained. And the length of experience format resulted in more interview requests in all cases, for both men and women, and for workers with a lot or little experience. The authors of this research believe that emphasizing work experience and concealing any gaps in employment reduces the likelihood of hiring managers being biased against applicants. This is also advantageous for job seekers. They do warn, however, that bias can still occur later in the interview process, and no one wants to have to deal with bias.
No, that's a whole other topic that we will add to our agenda of items coming up shortly. But yeah, it's so true. I mean, it's hard. I would say in the past couple of years, everybody's been through a lot. If you have gaps in employment from the beginning of the pandemic to now, just explain it on there, what it is. We expect it, especially during 2020, 2021. We as employers, hiring managers expect that, people lost their jobs because of the COVID pandemic. And so it's not question as much. But if you have a lot of gaps, you may want to explain it. You may want to say, hey, I had a gap here, but I was taking care of an ill family member. I like seeing that. I go, oh, cool. Now I don't have to ask that uncomfortable question. Or I was going to school to get a certification, or whatever it might be. You don't have to give them all your personal gossip and drama, but you need it to know that your resume is a marketing tool, and people give it about 20 seconds to look at. I'm not kidding you. So you want to get that view in front of the hiring manager is longer than 20 seconds, as long as possible. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Awesome. In our next and final session of this series regarding employment concerns in 2023, I want to talk about some HR trends. So you will hear us, I should say, soon.
Thank you for joining the HR Empowerment Podcast, brought to you by Aurora Training Advantage. We hope you've gained new insight and strategies to navigate the HR profession. We look forward to you joining us again on the HR Empowerment Podcast.